In this lecture, we will discuss the third most important landmark judgment in Sheela Barse case, that is Sheela Barse versus Secretary Children's Aid Society, and it is upholding the constitutional obligations of state-run child welfare institutions. Also, it deals with custodial care and treatment of children in state-run child welfare institutions, and the legal reasoning in the judgment relates to fundamental rights, in particularly Article 12 in defining state, and also Article 21 of the Constitution relating to life and personal liberties. Also Article 24 of the Constitution and the very provision regarding free legal aid and legal assistance and child welfare, as it is a core directions given to state under the directive principle of state policy under Part 4th of the Constitution. So, in Sheela Barse versus Secretary Children's Aid Society, it is a landmark judgment where Supreme Court of India addressed crucial issues concerning the management and operational protocols of child welfare institutions under the purview of the state. The appellant Sheela Barse, a freelance journalist and member of the Maharashtra State Legal Aid and Advice Committee, filed a writ petition challenging the functioning of the Children's Aid Societies New Observation Home in Manakpur, Bombay. Her grievances highlighted systematic shortcomings in representation and processes, custodial care, and overall treatment of children within the institution. So the legal reasonings that we found under this particular landmark judgment, where the Supreme Court applied the instrumentality test, assessing factors such as control, funding, and the nature of functions performed by children's at society, given that society was registered under the Societies Registration Act, received state grants, and was governed by state officials. It satisfied the criteria for being an instrumentality of the state. Consequently, the state was bound by constitutional provisions which are specifically as provided under Article 21 of the Constitution, ensuring the right to life and personal liberty, thereby mandating human treatment and proper care of the children. Besides that, another constitutional provision which was analyzed as under Article 24 of the Constitution, prohibiting the employment of children in hazardous conditions, effectively banning exploitative labor practices within the society's institutions. Further, under Part 4 of the Constitution relating to directive principle of state policy, guiding the state to ensure social justice and welfare through effective implementation of laws. The Honorable Court, the Apex Court, also criticized the High Court for not fully addressing the appellant's contentions regarding the exploitation of children through unpaid labor and inadequate follow-up actions, by affirming the society's status as a state actor. The Supreme Court mandated stricter adherence to constitutional and statutory obligations, ensuring that the society operates not merely as a voluntary organization but as a state run entity with significant responsibilities towards child welfare. So, we'll discuss about the judgment that was delivered. As regarding before that, certain precedents are cited by the apex court. So the Supreme Court cited earlier judgments that expanded the interpretation of state as provided under Article 12 of the Constitution. Notably, the court referred to the cases established criteria for determining whether a private entity performing public functions qualifies as a state instrumentality. This framework was pivotal in classifying the Children's Aid Society as part of the state given its statutory obligations, funding, and control by government officials. So, consequently, the Bombay High Courts initially addressed the writ petition, acknowledging some of Sheela Barse's allegations while dismissing others as unsubstantiated. The High Court issued several directives aimed at improving the operational efficiency of the Children's Aid Society, including enhancing communication between juvenile courts and police units, increasing personnel, and ensuring timely repatriation of children to their parents. On appeal, the Supreme Court upheld the High Court's finding and directions emphasizing the constitutional obligations of the society. The Supreme Court recognized the Children's Aid Society as an instrumentality of the state under the provisions of Article 12 of the Constitution, thereby subjecting it to constitutional standards, particularly under Articles 21 and Article 24 of the Constitution, which pertain to right to life and personal liberty and the prohibition of exploitation of labor as provided under the Constitution of India. So now we would like to discuss the very impact left by this landmark judgment. So this judgment has profound implications for the administration of child welfare institutions in India by categorizing Children's Aid Society as a state instrumentality. The court reinforced the accountability mechanism governing such bodies. Future cases will likely make reference of this precedent when determining the constitutional obligations of similar organizations. So, the very judgment enhanced oversight and regulation of child welfare institutions and proper training and staffing to meet statutory and constitutional requirements for the implementation of policies that prevent exploitation and ensure the well-being of children. Moreover, the judgment serves as a reminder to the state machinery about its duty to protect vulnerable populations, ensuring that child welfare institutions operate within the legal and ethical frameworks established by the Constitution. So, in light of that, the apex court made certain concepts which are simplified by the very judgment. So, relating to Article 12 of the Constitution, which defines the storm state, encompassing not only government entities but also instrumentalities and agents performing governmental functions. Further, regarding instrumentality of the state, whether a private or public entity performing public functions are significantly controlled by the state, thereby subjecting it to constitutional obligations. Further, the provisions as under Article 21 and 25, 24 as simplified by the judgment, fundamental rights concerning the protection of life and personal liberty and prohibition or the exploitation of labor. Respectively, these articles impose obligations on the state to ensure human treatment and to prevent child labor. Further, the directive principles of state policies were also analyzed in this landmark judgment, guiding principles for the legislature and executive to establish a just society, including welfare measures and social justice initiatives. By understanding these concepts and explaining these concepts, it becomes evident that the children's society, due to its operational and financial linkage with the state, must adhere to these constitutional mandates, ensuring the protection and proper care of children under its supervision. And finally, we would like to discuss about the very conclusion. The Supreme Court's judgment in this important landmark judgment, Sheela Barse vs. Secretary, Children's Aid Society and others, a significant milestone is reinforcing the constitutional responsibilities of state-run child welfare institutions by recognizing the Children's Aid Society as an instrumentality of the state. The court ensured that such bodies are held accountable to uphold fundamental rights and adhere to statutory obligations. This decision not only enhances the legal framework governing child welfare but also serves as a precedent for future litigation aimed at safeguarding the rights and well-being of children in state care. The judgment emphasizes the imperative role of the state in nurturing future generations, ensuring that their upbringing is free from exploitation and conducive to their holistic development.